Can you hear me now? Can you see me now? All right, another live update from ACCA 2021. We're going to pick up the microphone here in a bit and do some broadcasting, so we're going to do a little double duty here. We got Grease. Grease, you got a real name?
Yeah, Greg Reese.
Oh, well, that explains everything.
Yeah.
You know, Mike, they call me Guano in the Air Force. They just took Juan to Guano to Guano.
Yeah,
and so that became that name.
Right.
And we're going to talk about formation flying here in just a minute. So stand by. Let me pick up the mic. And we're going to be talking to the crowd is what we're going to be doing here. Okay, folks, if you've noticed out there today, we've got a whole bunch of RV aircraft flying around in formation. They've been given formation rides to a lot of YouTubers who have not done formation flying before, giving them an exposure to what formation flying is like. So I got Grease here with me today, one of the spokespersons for this group, Full Throttle Formation Team. We're going to talk about full throttle. We're going to talk about formation flying in general and the military background that it takes to get these kind of skills. Grease, tell us a little bit about Full Throttle.
Full Throttle is a formation team based in Peachtree City, Georgia, where you have 18 pilots and aircraft, 9 primaries, 9 alternates, mostly retired, mostly airline, and mostly former military. So we put together this team about this year. This is our 3rd air show, and just get things rolling now.
Wow, say those numbers again. How many are we talking? How many guys?
9 primaries, 9 alternates for a total of 18. We've got 13 up here in Whiteside County.
Let me flip this around here real quick so the folks back home, well, maybe see. We got a flight of 4 in the pattern right now today. So, of all the guys that are flying on your team today, are most all of them ex-military?
Correct, with the exception, I believe, of just one. But we teach formation flying even to a novice with 0 experience as well.
And so what do you use for your formation flying syllabus? Do you take the old U.S. Air Force formation flying book and go from there?
It's based a lot on that of the T-34 manual, but we have what's called FFI, Flying Formation Incorporated. It's a certifying agency that's sanctioned by the FAA that we set the standards and people are trained to those standards. But a lot of that is basic military formation, just with adaptations to the RD.
So as a military pilot, you started out right away with basic formation flying skills. It was part of your daily syllabus. I was T-37, then T-38s, T-37 instructor pilot. What were your assignments in the military?
Right, same thing. Initial training T-37s, transition to T-38s, and I flew heavies, 141s, the precursor to the C-17, and the C-9, the DC-9.
I flew 141s out of Travis. Where did you fly out of?
McCord.
McCord!
Yeah.
McCord, all right, right there on the West Coast. Good, good. And did you have to spend any time at McGuire, the McGuire McStage? Were you stuck in there? What years were you doing the 141?
Oh, let's see, that was 82 to 86.
Oh, okay, a little bit before my time. I would have been about a decade later at the time we were wearing those airplanes out. So what's the basic idea behind formation flying? It's mutual support, right?
Right, the fundamentals come really from the fighter community to support either troops on the ground or a combat mission. So everything in formation is related to 2-ship and 4-ships in terms of the package. And then we just build on that. We fly a 12-ship air show, which is obviously 3 4-ships. So that's the fundamental structure of it.
And the primary formation flying position is a wingtip position. And what kind of, let's see if I can remember my numbers from the Air Force. It was about, what, 3-foot wingtip separation, or was it more like 6 foot?
Right. It's we always have lateral separation, also always nose to tail clearance, obviously for safety. And it's running about 6 feet laterally separated.
6-foot lateral separation between 4 aircraft, and all of this, of course, for folks that don't fly, it's all just done visually. It's all eye-hand skill coordination. There's no instruments that you're looking at. You've got the lead aircraft, you're following the lead, and the key thing to being a good lead is what?
Smooth.
Yes. Anticipation. And in a 4-ship formation, it becomes especially vulnerable or especially important that the lead be smooth, because if you're the fourth guy out there in the end of the formation, you're playing crack the whip.
Right. Anticipation, lead being ahead of the flight, and then you as a lead need to anticipate what's coming. A lot of times in the sequence of events, you have a pretty good idea what's coming, but leads, anticipation, and smoothness, forethought is going to make everything work well. Its primary driver is wingman consideration.
Wingman consideration. Keep the guy from cracking the whip out there in the fourth place position. So in a two-ship formation, you can have a lot of fun. You can do a lot of maneuvering, but by the time you get four ships together, it becomes a big, cumbersome formation, and you need to make your moves large. They're slow maneuvers in a large amount of area. You don't have the same amount of area that you have over the two-ship formation.
Right, and it certainly applies when you'll see our show tomorrow with 12 ships. Really the lead's got to be good, wingman consideration. His job is to make the wingman look good.
That's it. It's just like in a band, you know. You're the bass player in the band. You're holding down the foundation, and your whole job is to make the rest of the band sound good. Now, you're using these RV-style aircraft. What makes the RV... I mean, I see all kinds of different RVs, 4s, 6s, 7s, 9s, and 10s. What is it about the RV that lends itself so well to this sort of flying?
It's just its basic performance. It does everything really well. Nothing is perfectly. So it's stress for 6 Gs, positive, 3 negative, good bubble canopy, good power to weight ratio, great visibility, great reflex as far as the way the aircraft reacts to your inputs. Makes it, you can just put it wherever you want, and it just stays there. So all those things put together makes for a great platform. Of course, the preferred platform is the RV-8. That's what I thought. The side-by-side, we let those guys fly with us anyway. But they're all good airplanes.
The RV-8 being, of course, the two-seat tandem rig. And of course, they're all got a stick and not a yoke. And I'm looking at the RVs that are out there. Are they all constant speed propellers as well?
All but 2.
Okay.
So, and that it just adds to leads anticipation requirements in terms of power. They have different power reactions that the constant speed do. So the lead has to take that into account.
Excellent. Good. And then formations, getting into the pattern. This is one of the great ways that you can get a massive amount of aircraft onto the ground quickly is a formation, and you'll see these guys doing this all the time today, coming in a what could be an echelon pattern and then a pitch out to land.
Right. Echelon as we enter on the initial, and then the overhead pattern, of course, that mimics the fighter world. If they were in a hostile area with bad guys around them and they needed to recover aircraft in a tight pattern, the overhead pattern is conducive to that. And that's what we do it. Why we do it is to get airplanes both in the air and on the ground as rapidly as possible.
So they're coming up initial. That means they're flying right over the center line of the runway until about midfield or so. And then the lead aircraft will pitch out, and then every aircraft will interval do their pitch out. And what's the number of seconds for those intervals?
Usually about 2 seconds.
So 2 seconds, so 2, 4, 6, 8 seconds later, you got 4 aircraft on downwind. And then the base turn, the lead turn's pretty tight. And on this runway, it's 150 feet wide, 6,000 feet long. Are you landing the lead aircraft on the downwind side of the runway? Are you taking hot and cold sides on this arrival landing?
Yeah, you can do that either way. You can do hot and cold sides. What we typically do in the FFI certification world, we land center line, fade cold. Cold is the side you're going to exit the runway on. Here, on landing on 2.5, right side is cold. So we land center line. As soon as you get the airplane under control, you drift over to the right side. That allows the left side of the runway to be the hot side. So if the guy needs to go around or it's just too fast, he's got half the runway available to him to pass you out of safety.
And then everybody clears the runway, regroups, and taxis in formation. Tell me about takeoffs here. Are you using intervals of two-ship intervals, formation takeoffs?
Right. Usually when we have passengers, we're a little bit on the heavier side. Also going to be dependent on wind conditions. We'll be 2 ships, and for expedition, we'll just be doing 2-ship rolling takeoffs. With the 150-foot flight runway, it's conducive to do a 4-ship takeoff. We'll probably do that tomorrow when we just have air fatigue.
So all four of you, not lined up abreast, but kind of in a fingertip formation on the runway.
Correct. Usually fingertips strong right, just like your fingers are in that formation. And just we try to stay quite forward on each other, so in case anybody has a tire issue, the rest of the flight will blow right by them before they have any kind of controllability issue. And then four will go right to the slot when you safely are aboard, just like the good old jet teams.
Uh-huh. And then how do you determine your spacing between the sections, the four and then the next four aircraft?
Basically, as soon as the four ship ahead of you is airborne, we call it air to the wheels, so the other pilots are pushing it up.
And of course, all of this is pre-briefed and choreographed extensively.
Right, briefed and maybe almost more importantly, practice. So we have FAA practice requirements, and then just our own proficiency. So we'll practice for a show at least twice for 2 weeks before we even come to a show. And oftentimes, I think we're going to probably go out tonight and do a high altitude practice as well.
Good, we'll be looking forward to that. And a lot of these aircraft have smoke as well.
Everybody.
That's a requirement?
Crowd pleaser.
Yeah. You got to be able to make a lot of smoke and noise. Tell us about those smoke systems. What are you using for smoke oil and how does it work?
It's a very light, it's almost like cooking oil, paraffin-based, light oil. Actually pretty expensive, $8 to $9 a gallon. And eco-friendly, if you will. And it's injected, we obviously have tanks, varying varieties depending on the aircraft, and then it's plumbed into the exhaust manifold. And the heat from the exhaust turns into smoke. Of course, it's below the flash point, so there's no fire much.
And so you have a separate smoke oil tank on board the aircraft and a switch typically located just somewhere on the panel?
Oh, we usually like to have it right on the stick.
Yeah, good.
Quick on and quick off. The smoke systems have check valves to make them crisp on and crisp
good.
off. You don't want dripping little puffs. You know.
That's right. No weak smoke signals. And of course the command is still smoke on, right?
Absolutely. Sometimes a preparatory call for full throttle smoke on.
Good. That's the name of your flight is full throttle anytime you're ratting around?
That's it.
All right. Very good. That's Greg Reese, right? That's how you get the name Grease. Full throttle flying team, formation team out here at ACCA 2021. Come on out here, get a ride with these guys and see what formation flying is all about. See you here. Good job, Greg.
Excellent.
All right. Oh, I got to switch arms. They're killing my right arm's killing me. So that's Greg Reese with the formation full throttle, or the full throttle formation flying team, with a little bit of good explanation about what it takes for formation flying. All of us in the military were trained up in formation flying. It was a natural part of our life, and it's good that you guys carry on the tradition using traditional formation flying right out of the book, right out of the U.S. military. The only way. Thanks so much for your support. We'll see you here.
So long.